Ethan Cole stood at the edge of the cliff, looking down at the colony below. Smoke rose from the damaged buildings, and the sound of distant fires echoed across the valley. He tightened his grip on his rifle. The colony had sent a distress signal days ago, and no help had arrived. He knew the message was clear. No mercenary would come. None had ever returned from this place. Claire Harrison approached him, her boots crunching against the rocky ground. She held a tablet that displayed the last communication from the colony. "They say the attacks are worse than before," she said. Her voice was steady but carried worry. "They need us now more than ever." Ethan nodded. "Can't wait for others. We have to do it ourselves. Either defend this place or we lose everything." He looked at the valley again. Trees had been torn apart and strange scorch marks covered the ground. The Deathworlder units were no joke. Stories told by survivors from previous attacks painted a clear picture. Anyone who tried to fight them alone had vanished without a trace. Claire tapped the tablet. "We need a team. People who can think fast and move faster. Mercenaries won't come, but we can recruit some of the colonists. There are fighters here who survived previous attacks." Ethan agreed. "We need the best we have. Lucas, Amy, and Carl. They are strong and smart. We don't have time to train anyone new. We only have time to prepare." The three joined them at the cliff shortly after. Lucas was tall and muscular, always ready to take risks. Amy was quick and precise, able to handle heavy weapons and maintain calm under pressure. Carl had a sharp mind and could spot danger before anyone else. Together, they formed a small but determined unit. Ethan laid out the plan. "We will patrol the perimeter first. We need to understand their patterns, how they move. If we rush in blindly, we will fail. We must be careful." The team moved cautiously through the dense forest that surrounded the colony. Every shadow and sound made them tense. Strange cries and low growls echoed through the trees. Ethan signaled for them to stop. He spotted movement near a cluster of rocks. 2 units were scouting ahead. They were fast and silent. Ethan whispered, "We can't take them head on. We need to distract them, force them to reveal their numbers. Amy, you take the left. Lucas, stay with me on the right. Carl, watch the rear." The plan worked. The units moved toward the noise Amy created, giving the humans a chance to observe. The creatures were not ordinary fighters. They were trained, disciplined, and relentless. Ethan felt a chill. These were humans who had become Deathworlder units, twisted by harsh survival training. The first attack came suddenly. One of the units lunged from behind a tree. Ethan fired, hitting it squarely. Amy's weapon roared, and another unit fell. Carl managed to trap one in a pit, buying precious seconds. It was brutal and fast. They had no choice but to fight smart, or they would die. Hours passed like this. The team learned their enemy, noting patterns, strengths, and weaknesses. Every encounter left scratches, bruises, and a growing respect for one another. They realized that the Deathworlder units had killed countless mercenaries, not because they were stronger, but because they underestimated human courage and teamwork. By nightfall, the team returned to the cliff. They were battered but alive. Ethan looked over the colony. "We can do this. We'll defend our home." Mercenaries failed because they did not fight as humans. "We will." Claire nodded. "We have no choice. The colony depends on us. We fight smart, we fight together, and we survive." The wind blew cold against their faces, carrying the smell of smoke and scorched earth. The real battle had just begun, but for the first time, hope felt real. The next morning, Ethan Cole and his team moved quietly through the dense forest near the colony. The previous day had taught them that rushing into attacks would get them killed. Every step was careful, every sound noted. The Deathworlder units could appear at any moment, fast and deadly. Amy led the way, scanning the undergrowth for movement. Lucas followed, his rifle ready, while Carl checked their rear. Claire carried extra supplies and a small weapon, prepared to act if things went wrong. Ethan brought up the rear, watching the shadows and listening to every sound. They reached a rocky clearing where a previous attack had left deep scars. Trees were shattered and the ground was scorched. Ethan knelt to examine a strange footprint. It was large and strong, evidence that their enemy had power and skill beyond normal humans. Suddenly, a low growl broke the quiet. A Deathworlder unit emerged from the shadows. its eyes sharp and cold. Ethan raised his rifle, but before he could fire, another unit appeared on the right. They were fast and coordinated, moving together to trap the humans. Ethan shouted, "Split up! Use the trees for cover! Move!" The team reacted immediately. Amy fired from behind a tree, hitting one unit. Lucas charged forward, drawing attention away from Carl, who threw a trap over a hidden pit. Claire set a small explosive to block the path of the advancing unit. Every move was calculated, every second counted. The fight was fierce. Ethan leapt from rock to rock, firing at the units, avoiding their deadly strikes. He saw Amy take a hit in her shoulder, but she kept firing. Lucas rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding a strike.
Ow!
Carl managed to knock one unit off balance and into the pit trap. The forest echoed with shouts and the sounds of combat. After what felt like hours, the units retreated into the shadows. The humans were battered and tired, but they had survived. Ethan lowered his rifle, breathing heavily. "Did it," he said, though the words felt hollow. They had only survived the first attack of the day. Claire checked the wounds. Amy winced as she wrapped her shoulder. Lucas wiped blood from his forehead. Carl looked shaken but determined. Ethan nodded at them. "We need to keep moving. They will come back, and we need to be ready." The team moved deeper into the forest. They needed to understand their enemy, to learn how the Deathworlder units operated. Ethan led them to a ridge overlooking a narrow valley. From there they could observe without being seen. They watched as several units patrolled, searching for signs of life. Ethan whispered, "Notice how they move. They are fast, but they follow patterns. We can use this against them." Claire took notes on their movements, while Lucas and Amy practiced quick response drills. Carl set small traps around their position to alert them of any approach. As night fell, the team returned to a hidden shelter. They were exhausted but alive. Ethan looked at each of them. "We survived the first encounter because we stayed together and thought fast. Mercenaries failed because they fought alone or without planning. We are different. We are human, and humans can survive this." They ate quickly and kept watch through the night. Every rustle, every whisper of wind made them tense. The Deathworlder units were out there, waiting, testing them. But Ethan and his team were ready. They had learned the first lesson of survival. Fight smart, fight together, and never underestimate the enemy. Tomorrow would bring more danger, but they were prepared to face it head-on. The next morning, Ethan Cole and his team returned to the colony to meet with Queen Victoria Lane. She was strong and confident, a leader who inspired courage in the colony. Her presence gave the humans a sense of hope. The attacks had shaken them, but she would show them a way forward. "We cannot wait for mercenaries," Victoria said firmly. "We must defend ourselves. I will not send anyone alone. We fight as one, as humans who will not fail." Ethan nodded. "We have learned a lot from yesterday. We know their patterns, their strengths, and weaknesses. We can plan a counterattack." Claire displayed her notes on the tablet. "These units are trained humans. They are fast, strong, and relentless.
Ow.
But they rely on predictable movement. We can use traps and coordinated attacks to gain the advantage." Lucas stepped forward. "We can split into teams. Some of us can draw them out, while others set traps and ambush points. We have to be precise. One mistake, and we die." Victoria agreed. "Ethan, you lead the front team. Claire managed the traps and support from a distance. Lucas and Amy flank and distract. Carl guard the rear. Every team moves together. Every team watches the others." The plan was simple, but required perfect timing. Ethan's team moved through the forest, placing traps in hidden spots. Claire guided them, showing weak points in the terrain. They moved silently, communicating only through hand signals and brief whispers. As they neared the edge of a canyon, the first signs of the Deathworlder units appeared. Ethan signaled the front team to hold position. They waited, watching the units move in formation. These were elite fighters, trained to hunt and kill.
Ow.
They had no fear, no hesitation. The first unit stepped into a trap. A net sprang from hidden ropes, entangling it. Ethan fired at the distracted unit, while Lucas and Amy moved to block the flanks. Another unit charged, but Claire detonated a small explosive, sending it back into cover. Carl called out warning signals as more units approached. The battle raged across the canyon. Humans and Deathworlder units clashed in a deadly game of speed, strength, and strategy. Ethan fought fiercely, leading his team with precision. He saw Amy take down 2 units with swift moves. Lucas knocked another into a pit trap. Carl's warning calls saved them from ambushes. Claire's traps and explosives slowed the enemy, giving humans the edge. Victoria appeared at the edge of the battlefield, leading reinforcements from the colony. She did not command from afar. She fought alongside them, showing courage that inspired everyone. Her presence gave the team confidence. The Deathworlder units, though trained, hesitated when faced with such determination. After a long fight, several units were captured. Humans discovered their enemy's secret. These were humans turned into machines of war, trained to follow orders and survive harsh conditions. They were strong and deadly, but not invincible. Humanity's spirit, teamwork, and adaptability could overcome them. Ethan gathered his team. We know now what we face. These are humans, not monsters. We fight like humans, and we can win. The Queen's strategy works because we act together. We will take the next step tomorrow. Claire nodded. We need to refine our traps and tactics, but we are learning. We are ready. The team rested in the canyon, keeping watch through the night. They were exhausted, but victory had given them hope. They had seen that human courage and intelligence could match any force. Tomorrow would bring another battle, but they were ready to fight as one. And to prove that no mercenary could survive, because only humans could fight humans with Deathworlder training and live. The following day, Ethan Cole and his team prepared for a new mission. They had learned that Deathworlder units were trained humans, strong and relentless, but predictable. This knowledge gave them hope, and now planned to use human advantage against them. Claire checked the traps once more. She had improved them overnight, making each one more precise and deadly. We need to force them into narrow spaces, she said. That way, we can control the fight and reduce their numbers quickly. Ethan gathered the team. Lucas, Amy, you will lead the distraction. Carl and I will manage the traps. Claire, support us from the ridge with explosives. We move together, stay alert, and never underestimate them. The team moved through the dense forest, keeping low and silent. Every rustle of leaves made them tense. Ethan signaled them to halt. Ahead, 2 Deathworlder units patrolled. The humans froze, hiding behind rocks and trees. Amy threw a small noisemaker to draw attention. The units moved toward the sound, unaware of the ambush waiting for them. Ethan triggered the first trap. A rope net lifted a unit from the ground and held it suspended. Lucas rushed forward, delivering swift strikes that disabled it. Carl signaled more units approaching from behind. Claire detonated a small explosive, scattering them and buying the humans time to adjust. The fight spread across a narrow canyon. Humans used every advantage: narrow paths, hidden traps, and coordinated attacks. Each unit that charged was met with careful resistance. Ethan moved with precision, taking down one unit after another. Amy was quick and deadly, striking from unexpected angles. Lucas used his strength to push enemies into traps. Carl managed communications, alerting everyone to new movements. Claire watched from above, setting off traps and explosives that cut off enemy reinforcements. Hours passed. Sweat and blood covered the humans, but they continued to fight. The Deathworlder units were strong, but they did not adapt as quickly as the humans expected. Ethan noticed a pattern. They moved in predictable ways when under pressure. This gave him an advantage. He adjusted the team's strategy to exploit every weakness. At one point, a massive unit charged directly at Ethan. He dodged, rolling behind a rock, and countered with a precise strike. The unit stumbled into a pit trap Carl had prepared. Amy and Lucas moved to secure the area, finishing off the remaining enemies. The humans fought as one, each action supporting the other. As the sun began to set, the remaining Deathworlder units retreated. The humans had controlled the battlefield. They had taken down elite fighters that had once killed mercenaries. Ethan and his team stood together, battered but alive. They had proven that humans could fight humans trained to survive Deathworld conditions. Ethan looked at his team. We survived today because we acted as humans. Mercenaries fail because they fight alone or without coordination. We fight smart, we fight together, and we survive. That is what makes us different. Claire nodded. Now, we need to rest, but we cannot let our guard down. They will come back, and next time it may be harder. We have to continue improving our tactics. Lucas and Amy cleaned their weapons. Carl checked the traps for damages. The team prepared a temporary camp in the canyon, watching the darkening forest. Every shadow could hide a new enemy, but they were ready. The humans had discovered their advantage: teamwork, strategy, and human spirit. No mercenary could match it. They were prepared to face the final battle and prove that humanity could survive against the Deathworlder units and emerge victorious. The final battle began at dawn. Ethan Cole and his team were ready. The Deathworlder units had returned in greater numbers, led by Alex Taylor, a human trained in the deadliest survival tactics. The colony watched from behind barricades, knowing the fate of their home depended on this fight. Ethan addressed his team. This is it. We fight together, we fight smart, and we do not back down. Every move counts. Remember our strengths and weaknesses. We survive because we are human, and we fight as one. Claire positioned herself on a ridge, explosives ready. Lucas and Amy moved to the flanks to draw attention. Carl managed traps along the narrow paths. Ethan led the front, moving quickly and precisely. The Deathworlder units advanced, confident and deadly, expecting easy victory. The first clash was brutal, units charged with incredible speed. Ethan dodged and struck, using the narrow canyon to limit their numbers. Amy fired from the side, taking down enemies before they could close in. Lucas pushed one into a hidden pit. Carl's alarms and signals kept the team coordinated, preventing ambushes. Claire set off timed explosives that disrupted the enemy formation. Alex Taylor appeared, cutting through the chaos with skill and strength. He challenged Ethan directly. The two circled, testing each other. Ethan noticed Alex's reliance on predictable patterns. Using a feint, Ethan tricked him into stepping into a trap. Alex stumbled but recovered quickly, still dangerous. Ethan had to act fast. He combined speed and precision to disable Alex's movements, finally forcing him to retreat into the remaining units.
No.
The humans pressed their advantage. Every trap, every coordinated attack, and every maneuver weakened the Deathworlder units. They fought as one, covering each other, anticipating enemy moves. Each unit that fell lowered the morale of the enemy. Ethan and his team pushed forward, relentless and focused. Hours passed. Sweat, dirt, and blood covered them, but the humans did not yield. Victoria Lane appeared at the battlefield's edge, leading reinforcements from the colony. She fought with courage, rallying those who hesitated and inspiring them to fight with precision. Her presence strengthened the humans' resolve. Finally, the remaining Deathworlder units were cornered. Ethan signaled the team. Claire set off the final explosives, cutting off any escape. Lucas and Amy pressed the attack, ensuring none could flee. Carl checked the traps, confirming all points were secure. Alex Taylor was captured, his squad defeated. The humans had won. The colony erupted in relief and celebration. Ethan looked at his team, battered but alive. We did it because we fought smart together, and as humans. No mercenary could survive this because they lacked coordination, courage, and the will to fight as one. Victoria nodded. Today proves the strength of humanity. We are not just survivors. We are fighters who can face any challenge and prevail. This colony is safe because we worked together and trusted each other. Ethan, Claire, Lucas, Amy, and Carl stood on the canyon edge, looking at the defeated units and the horizon beyond. The battle had been brutal, but it showed the power of human spirit and teamwork. The colony was safe, and humanity had proven that no force, no matter how trained or deadly, could overcome humans who fought as one. The sun rose higher, casting light over the canyon. Ethan felt hope and pride. The team had faced Deathworlder units and survived. They had fought as humans and had won. The story of this battle would be remembered, a lesson that no mercenary could survive against Deathworlder units. But humans, united and determined, could overcome any threat.